100 children who enter elementary school in the Philippines, only 69 of them reach grade 6, only 48 of them completed high school education, the grade 10 and K-12 program, and only 18 finish their college education. The highest rate of school dropouts in the poorest region of the Philippines, which contributes to the lack of economic development in these regions. The number of enrollees in the Philippine public school has been constantly increasing over the years because more and more Filipino families cannot afford the tuition fee in private education. The public school system has been unable to cope with the surge in student populations, resulting in many public schools becoming too congested and no longer conducive to students' learning. Worse, public schools are no longer able to accommodate additional students because they lack classrooms, desks, and textbooks.
That is why the Republic Act No. 6728 has been established, an act providing government assistance to students and teachers in private education and appropriating funds. In Section 1, this act shall be known as the Government Assistance to Students and Teachers in Private Education Act. Section 2, it is the declared policy of the state in conformity with the mandate of the Constitution to promote and make quality education accessible to all Filipino citizens. The state also hereby recognizes the complementary roles of public and private educational institutions in the educational system and the invaluable contribution that the private schools have made and will make to education. Section 3. The programs for assistance shall be based on a set of criteria which shall include, among others, tuition fees charged by the schools, the socio-economic needs of each region, overall performance of the schools, academic qualifications and the financial needs of students, as well as the geographic spread and size of student population. Section 4. Assistance to private education shall consist of tuition fee supplements for students in private high schools, including students in vocational and technical courses. Second, high school textbook assistance fund. Third, expansion of existing educational service contracting. Fourth, the voucher system of private education student financial assistance program. Fifth, scholarship grants. Sixth, tuition fee supplements to students in private colleges and universities. 7. Education loan fund. And 8. College faculty development fund. Section 5. Financial assistance for tuition for students in private high schools shall be provided by the government through a voucher system. That government subsidies are not used directly for salaries of teachers of non-secular subjects. At least 20% shall go to the improvement or modernization of buildings, equipments, libraries, laboratories, gymnasia, and similar facilities, and to the payment of other costs of operation. Section 6. There shall be established in the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports a high school textbook assistance fund so that an assistance on a per-student basis shall be given to private schools charging less than 1,500 pesos per year, or such amount in subsequent years as may be determined from time to time by the State Assistance Council. Section 7. The department shall also enter into contract with private schools in communities where there are no public high schools, in which case the department shall shoulder the tuition and other fees of students who shall enroll in said private schools. The number of such schools assisted by the program will be increased every year, such that all schools in this category will be assisted within 4 years from the promulgation of this Act. Section 8. For purposes of this Act, an unprivileged student who shall refer to a student whose annual gross income, if any, and that of the combined annual gross income of his parents do not exceed 36,000 pesos. Section 9. Tuition fee supplements for non-freshman students of private colleges and universities in priority course programs determined by the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports shall be provided by the government through a voucher system. Section 10. In any proposed increase in the rate of tuition fee, there shall be appropriate consultations conducted by the school administration with the duly organized parents and teachers associations and faculty associations with respect to secondary schools, and with students, governments or councils, alumni and faculty associations with respect to colleges. For this purpose, audited financial statements shall be made available to authorized representatives of these sectors. Every effort shall be exerted to reconcile possible differences. In case of disagreement, the alumni association of the school or any other impartial body of their choosing shall act as arbitrator.
In Section 11, this is Educational Loan Fund, right? So, this is a study now, pay later. This is hereby created a special fund to be known as the Student Loan Fund to be administered by the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports. So, upon the delegation by the department, the Student Loan Fund Authority created under Republic Act No. 6014, which is hereby reinstituted pursuant to the terms of the same Republic Act, which shall be used to finance educational loans to cover matriculation and other school fees and educational expenses, just like book, subsistence, and board and lodging. So here in section 12, there is a limitation, right? So the right of any student to avail himself of the benefits under this act shall not apply, right? So if he fails for one school year in the majority of the academic subjects in which he has enrolled during the course of his study, unless such failure is due to some valid cause beyond his control. And if he enrolls for the first time or transfers outside of the region where he is domiciled, unless the course he wants to pursue is a priority course or determined by the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports, and is not offered in any private school in his region. In section 13, College Faculty Development Fund. So, for the purpose of improving the quality of teaching in higher education, there is hereby established in the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports as a College Faculty Development Fund to provide for scholarships, for graduate degrees and non-degree workshops or seminars for faculty members in private colleges and universities. So provided here is that the faculty member recipients of such scholarship should serve 3 years return service for every year of scholarship availed of. So the scholarship shall be in priority courses as determined by the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports in coordination with the National Economic Development Authority or the NEDA, and cannot be awarded to promote inhibit sectarian purposes. And in section 14, this is the program administration rules and regulations. So the State Assistance Council shall be responsible for policy guidance and direction, monitoring and evaluation of new and existing programs, and the promulgation of rules and regulations, while the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports shall be responsible for the day-to-day administration and program implementation. Likewise, it may engage the services and support of any qualified government or private entity for its implementation. So in section 15, this is the appropriation. The appropriation of the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports authorized in General Appropriation Act for the fiscal year 1989. The implementation of the program for secondary education and implementation of programs for higher education. So the implementation of free secondary education shall be reduced as far as practicable on a proportionate basis by region to provide funds for the requirements of this act in fiscal year 1989. So provided with this is that the savings from any other or appropriation of the Department of Culture and Sports may be utilized for the implementation of this act. In section 16, this is now the penalties. In case of any violation of the provision of this act or the rules and regulation promulgated pursuant thereto by an institution, the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports, upon the recommendation of the Council, may bar the institution from participating in or benefiting from the programs of this act and from other programs of the department without prejudice to administrative and criminal charges as may be filed against the school and or its responsible officers under existing laws. And in section 17, this is now the repealing clause. All laws and decrees, particularly Presidential Decree numbers 932 and 1371, and such letters of instruction, rules and regulation or parts thereof which are inconsistent with the act are hereby repealed or modified accordingly. And in section 18, this is the separability clause. If any provision of this act is declared unconstitutional, the same shall not affect the validity and effectivity of the other provisions not affected thereby. And lastly is the Section 19, which is the effectivity clause. This act shall take effect immediately upon its publication in English in an English newspaper and in Filipino and Filipino newspaper, both of general circulation.